So my question to you is this: why would anyone want to be led by you? So why would anyone want to be led by you? So I'd like you to just jot an idea down. It could be just a word, or it could be something more significant than that, even more lengthy. But I'd like to see that some of what people are saying about why they would be led by you. Another way of thinking of it is, if there was an election tomorrow in your workplace of who is to be our leader, why would people vote for you? What are some of what would drive people to do that? The critical thing about effective leaders is that they're mindful of the need to evolve. And that's what leadership is about. It's an evolution. I really question the person who suggests to us all that they're a leader and they've got it all. Because leaders recognize the need to continue learning. And John C. Maxwell, who's authored many, many books on leadership, always talks about the ongoing lifelong learning of leadership. And that's what it certainly is. It's around continually learning. Further qualities, I should say, around leadership would certainly be around this question of courage. And as they're coming up here on the list, courage is a critical factor, I think, because leadership is not easy. Leadership is not straightforward. It's complex. There's no doubt about that. And so leaders, people who take on this role, such as yourselves, who are leading, we need to recognize the challenge that exists within leadership and recognize the fact that I'm going to need to be quite courageous. I'm going to need to have the courage to stand up and have a voice. I'm going to need to have the courage to question people and their behavior. I'm going to need to have the courage to bother changing things. It's critical as leaders that we recognize the need for courage. One of the other qualities of leaders is their desire to create change. The status quo is really at risk when it comes to leaders. The reason for that is because it goes hand in hand with that idea of continual evolution. Because what leaders recognize is that the way that what we have right now isn't necessarily the best it can possibly be. And right in their crosshairs is the idea of taking out the sacred cows, because there's a great title of a book that says "Sacred Cows Make the Best Burgers." And what they mean by that is that leaders need to have the courage to create change and perhaps kill off some of those sacred cows. That not necessarily what we've got right now is the best way to get stuff done. Leaders are decisive. They're prepared to make decisions and possibly make decisions that aren't all that popular, which ties in again about creating change and having the courage to do so. They have a strong awareness of what's going around them, not just internally within the workplace, but also in the bigger environment. So they're aware of what's happening in their marketplace. They're aware of what's happening in their industry. They're aware of what's happening potentially in international. They see trends. They see what's coming across the horizon. And that informs them and the decisions that they're going to make. I think one of the greatest things around those who effectively lead others is that they have a strong sense of accountability. We often see people whose results from their team aren't all that good, and they're very quick to point the finger at whose fault or who is to blame. And that's not leadership at all. Leadership is recognizing that people are accountable for their contribution, and ultimately the team's outcome is the responsibility and part of the accountability of the leader. And so what we need to recognize is that accountability goes hand in hand with good, effective leadership. Optimism is a really powerful quality for leaders as well, because they have a strong drive around positivity. They don't moan and complain. They see that there is a direction to take and we need to keep working there, despite the challenges of working in that environment. Things don't always go according to plan, of course. There are challenges. There are things, results aren't necessarily met, or timelines, or budgets, or people aren't necessarily always easy to work with. However, what effective leaders do is that they have a strong sense of optimism around what the future holds. And they embrace that and they communicate that sense of optimism as well. A few other qualities that go hand in hand with what you've described as well is a strong sense of empathy, that is understanding other people and having a sense of what they're going through, but also from being empathetic. It's around recognizing that I don't need to get into the situation with the person, because that doesn't help. what empathy is all about is reaching in and helping that person out of the situation. It's not getting into the situation. Recently, during the warmer weather in Melbourne, which we don't currently have, I went for some walking in the Grampian Ranges in country Victoria. And we went for a walk, and there was my wife and my 3 children, and we went for a walk, and the kids got themselves into one of the little crevices that we had to walk through and traverse through in order to get to our destination. And what was really interesting is that the 2 younger ones had difficulty getting out of this little situation they were in. And what I could have done was actually jumped into the hole with them and lifted them up. But that was going to make my job a whole lot more difficult and not necessarily the most effective approach to take. So what we recognised was it's much better for me to lean down and lift them up individually, as opposed to getting into the hole with them and trying to work a way out of it from there. So as a metaphor, don't always jump in the hole with the person who's stuck in the hole. That's what empathy is about. It's about standing outside the hole, reaching in and trying to lift them out. Other characteristics, just very quickly: strong sense of focus, strong drive around honesty and integrity. And the other thing that I've highlighted as a quality of effective leaders is their strong sense of confidence. And that is their ability to keep striving forward, to keep moving forward, so that they're always moving toward their ambition and what their goal happens to be. So the point being that leaders evolve. We don't have all of these characteristics, all these qualities. There's no doubt about that. No one person does. But it's about that understanding of there's an opportunity for us to continually evolve and become better and better at what